Hello, Bold Bears! This is a video message just for the adults in our Bold Bear community. So, if you're a Briarwood student, why don't you hit pause and have a conversation with your family instead of continuing. Thanks, kids. Now, over the last week and a half, we've been rocked as a school, a community, a state, and a nation with the death of George Floyd and the resulting sorrow, protests, riots, and controversy. In 1963, the youngest speaker at the March on Washington with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was John Lewis, who is today the congressman from Georgia's 5th District. On the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, Representative Lewis said in part,
"We are tired. We are tired of being beaten by policemen. We're tired of seeing our people locked up in jail over and over again. And then you holler, be patient. How long can we be patient? We want our freedom and we want it now."
That was 57 years ago, and yet we find ourselves in 2020 still talking about the injustices faced by our black brothers and sisters. While much has improved in the black community in America since 1963, there is much to celebrate and to encourage us as a nation. The data that we use to measure progress across a range of measures is still not where it needs to be. For example, looking at the national NAEP reading testing, in 2017 the average reading score for a white student was 232, but for black students it was 206, Hispanic 209, and for our Asian and Pacific Islander students 239. Now that was growth over time since the testing measures began in 1992, but I think for any of us, we would acknowledge for our own children, we would want those trend lines to be high and equal for every one of our students. At Briarwood, we teach your children to be respectful, responsible problem solvers, even when they're angry, afraid, or unhappy. The call to be a problem solver is more important now than ever, and I find echoes of that in Superintendent Thiele's message this week to the community, which read, in part, that racism and injustice are not values of the Issaquah School District, and we cannot ignore these events and risk marginalizing this behavior by our silence. We must be part of the solution, close quote. And at Briarwood, we must be part of the solution as well. Now, 57 years later, Representative Lewis has responded to recent events, and he said,
"What would you say to people about the best way to achieve justice?"
But during the 60s, the great majority of us accepted the way of peace, the way of love, the philosophy and discipline of nonviolence as a way of life, as a way of living. There's something cleansing, something wholesome about being peaceful and orderly. To stand up and with a sense of dignity and a sense of pride and never hate. As Dr. King said over and over again, hate is too heavy a burden to bear. The way of love is a much better way. And that's what we did. We were arrested, we were jailed, we were beaten, but we didn't hate. And we have changed America. And I truly believe what is taking place now and will continue to take place during the next few days and weeks is going to take us much further down that road to society at peace with itself.
a society at peace with itself. I believe this must be the goal. This ideal of a society at peace with itself is a goal that we must all take responsibility for. And as parents and caregivers, we have a unique and profound responsibility to teach our children a better way. As a father of 3 sons myself, I have struggled at times to find the words to explain this painful, embarrassing, and at times scary topic in a way that my sons can understand and internalize. As much as I've shrunk at times from having those conversations with my sons, I know that if I don't rise to the occasion, if we don't rise to the occasion, even imperfectly, that I increase the odds that 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, or 57 years from now, if we think back to Representative John Lewis, we will still be experiencing the same injustice. A raw and painful exchange about this was captured on Twitter, about the fear one father felt about passing time without progress.
Let me tell you something. That's the problem that we got. That you see right now, it's gonna happen 10 years from now. And at 26, you're gonna be doing the same thing I'm doing. You understand that? 10 years. You're gonna be right here too. But he also got to. So what I need y'all to do right now at 16 is come up with a better way. Cause how we doing it, it ain't working. He angry at 46. I'm angry at 31. You angry at 16. It's old, man. It's old, you understand me? It's old. Putting yourself in harm's way is not the way. No, it's not. You and another your counterparts the same age and that has that same power. Y'all come up with a better way. Cause we ain't doing it.
Oh my God.
And I have a 5-year-old son.
Oh my God.
And it ain't happening.
In a school like Briarwood, which has a black student population of fewer than 10 students, what can we do? Back to Representative John Lewis.
And what do you think is the role of people who are not black who want to support the movement? We're hearing a lot about that.
Well, we all are human. We all are part of the human family. And it doesn't matter whether you're black, or white, Latino, Asian American, or Native American. We're one people. We're one family. We all live in the same house, the world house. And as Dr. King said again, we must learn to live together as brothers and sisters. If not, we will perish as fools. And I think what's been going on the past few days is living truth, that we all are connected, and nothing, not anything, are going to separate us.
All journeys begin with looking inwards. And as I have shared with the Briarwood staff in the past, it's been a painful journey at times for me to confront the racist elements unique to my childhood, upbringing, and acculturation. There are heartbreaking inequities, unjust outcomes for too many among us. Even as our Issaquah School District Board has acknowledged, quote, that there are systemic and institutional inequities and biases that exist, creating barriers for student achievement and well-being, close quote. I would challenge all Briarwood families to review and reflect on your own journey, both those times that you're proud of yourself and those that you love for doing the right thing, the just thing, and perhaps those times when you or those you love have fallen short of our highest ideals as a nation, which we declare as that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I believe that Briarwood, Washington State, and America's best days are ahead of us, to the extent that we redouble our efforts to make the Briarwood way of respectful, responsible problem solving not just a platitude that we use to counsel and correct students about lunchroom or playground behavior, but as a commitment we all make as Briarwood Bears, children and adults alike, to live up to our highest ideals as a school, as a district, as a state, and as a nation. Thank you, Bold Bears.